Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg, a.k.a. Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and skiing. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
It's so cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough.
Whoopi Goldberg just had a meltdown so dramatic it could pass for a Lifetime movie. Slow piano, heavy pauses, the full production. The trigger? Greg Gutfeld, who roasted her hard enough to rattle the set. Thought daytime TV was chaotic before? Watch Goldberg unravel faster than one of her punchlines. Buckle up, this takedown got messier than a Real Housewives reunion mid-hurricane.
Suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
It's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid.
Whoopi's latest outburst makes toddler tantrums look calm. 1 minute she's lecturing from her faux leather throne on The View. The next, she's coming apart like a bargain sweater in the spin cycle. The cause? Greg, the Fox News spark plug who swings sarcasm like a flamethrower.
Otherwise known as Hell's DMV. Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban?
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, right? Wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment.
But let's be real, this didn't appear out of thin air. Goldberg has been inching toward this public blow-up for a while. The View, once a forum for debate, now feels like a chaotic group chat with 5 glitching Siri bots arguing over who's most righteous. And right in the middle, shaking the tambourine of outrage, sits Goldberg, mistaking volume for facts and noise for virtue.
Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the Taliban. How dare they compare them to Trump? The Taliban should sue. Guess they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump seriously. A reminder, the Taliban throw acid in girls' faces for going to school. Yeah, I guess that's like defunding Planned Parenthood. Radical Islam is all for killing gays, and I guess that's the same as making some rude jokes. No, Trump's past rudeness is a product of a rude culture, one fed and fattened by a coarse entertainment.
Now picture her shock. Greg, smirking and fully armed with satire, finally fired back. His clapback landed hard, echoing well beyond Fox News. Her response? A meltdown with all the stability of wet tissue, gasps, eye rolls, and that familiar disbelief that anyone would dare roast the self-appointed queen of daytime drama.
Apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen, which means The View is very unhappy. Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Let's be clear, this wasn't a light jab. Greg didn't just embarrass Goldberg, he dissected her talking points with surgical precision while she bounced between whatever trending cause filled her echo chamber. He poked holes in the logic, and instead of countering with reason, Goldberg defaulted to her signature move, flailing. This is someone who's turned emotional grandstanding into a competitive sport, always ready to play the victim on cue. But don't mistake this meltdown for vulnerability. It was pure performance. The View now resembles a petri dish of ideological sameness, where real debate goes to fade out. The hosts rarely challenge each other. They nod and sync like polished bobbleheads, careful not to disturb the script. Each episode becomes a race to deliver the hottest take with maximum smugness, and Goldberg often leads the parade, serving lukewarm opinions with the confidence of someone who skimmed a headline and called it research.
Small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss this.
The moment anyone steps out of line, they're talked over, sidestepped, or quietly shuffled to commercial. It's less a talk show and more a live-action Twitter pile-on. So when Greg entered the chat, figuratively speaking, he wasn't just tossing shade. He dropped truth grenades into a house built on feelings, calling out what many viewers have suspected for years. Goldberg, caught mid-monologue, looked like someone who wandered into a logic seminar by accident. First came the glare, the unmistakable "how dare you," then the dramatic sigh, as if the world had landed squarely on her shoulders. And finally, the spiral, pseudo-intellectual rambling, scattered history references, and what can only be described as emotional, interpretive dance. You could almost hear producers scrambling for commercial, because nothing screams daytime chaos like a host trying to hold it together while firing off half-baked takes on topics she barely seems prepared to explain.
Rapture is here. Rapture's here, and then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Although I love for the first time in like
No,
100 years,
no.
for the first time in many, many years.
No,
And so-
every 17 years this happens.
well, that's not what I read, but maybe, maybe
Well-
you know better. All those things together would maybe lead one to believe that, either climate change exists
That's one of
or
the
something
points.
is really
Except
going on.
returning. Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't. I don't think
It happens, and the eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Amazing. Oh. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
Greg Gutfeld didn't even have to push that hard. He just held up a mirror. And what did it reflect? A show powered more by outrage than insight. A host convinced volume equals credibility. And a panel so allergic to dissent, they practically twitch at the hint of a conservative take. Greg didn't merely roast Whoopi Goldberg, he spotlighted the hollowness of the whole setup. His satire sliced clean through the cloud of self-importance hovering over The View. While Whoopi scrambled for footing, her co-hosts nodded in sync like backup singers on autopilot. But this wasn't a solo stumble, it turned into a full panel nosedive. Every time Goldberg flailed, the others leaned in with sympathetic murmurs and expressions that quietly admitted, we weren't ready for this. Joy Behar looked momentarily stunned, while Sunny Hostin launched into a word salad that left clarity nowhere in sight. Together they performed the classic circle the wagons routine, reframing Greg's critique as an attack on everyone in the studio and beyond.
Finn's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the...
Here's the twist. Outside that studio, few people were buying it. The internet lit up instantly. Memes, reaction clips, sarcastic TikToks. Whoopi's meltdown was clipped, looped, and replayed with dramatic flair. And what made it sting more? This wasn't new. It felt like another entry in Goldberg's growing highlight reel of moments where confidence meets pushback. Each time, she reacts like disagreement is a brand new invention. It's almost remarkable, being consistently loud while rarely pausing to reassess. Watching the panel can feel like a book club where no one finished the book, but everyone still delivers a keynote about the cover. And poor Greg, he didn't even make it personal. He challenged the ideas. But in Whoopi's world, disagreement often registers as heresy. Why engage the argument when melodrama is always on standby?
He claims Biden's loose bowels should make voters throw in the towels. Goldberg's rational so weak she doesn't care if Biden can't speak. Yes, it's a magical land where little Debbies make big bellies and brain cells go to die. This week on The View, Whoopi doubled down on her support of Joe Biden's re-election. No surprise, but it was her peculiar poo-powered prose that piqued my potty predilection. Roll it!
I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a...
Meanwhile, Greg walked away from the clash like someone who just settled a debate with GPS directions. Calm, unfazed. No victory lap, no extended rant, just a shrug, another joke, and exit stage left. And that may have made the moment sting more. Whoopi brought emotional fireworks to a logic fight, and lost. While she tried to steer the moment with sighs and expressions, Greg stuck to the simplest weapon available, common sense. By the segment's end, Goldberg's usual confidence looked noticeably deflated. Briefly, at least. Because by the next episode, the reset button had clearly been hit, indignation restored, certainty fully recharged. That's the survival model. Not adaptation, not reflection, but repetition. So what's the takeaway from this latest daytime drama? Even the loudest voices can wobble when actual critique enters the room.
His pants, and in fact, she'll stand right behind him. Not only does she have a terrible case of Trump derangement, she also has no sense of smell or a really weird fetish. And I'm not one to kink shame, to each his own. I guess you just got tired of Joy's crap. Kat, you know what was the most interesting thing about this was the audience reaction. Like when she started talking about poop being everywhere, the audience was like frozen. They were like, what is going on here? Whoopi has a poop problem.
What does she mean she has poopy day?
Public blowups tend to happen when a persona runs too long without meaningful pushback. And Greg, whatever you think of him, doesn't hesitate to step into that space and swing. Maybe next time the move is engagement instead of escalation, step outside the bubble rather than doubling down inside it. But then again, where's the spectacle in that? Because while The View delivers emotional monologues with urgent intensity, Greg keeps doing what he does best on Fox, mixing humor with commentary. And like it or not, that formula resonates with a lot of viewers.
Married white women, and they do fall in line with what their husbands are doing.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Yeah. Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went...
He doesn't rely on a panel of agreeing co-hosts to reinforce every point. He doesn't default to grievance as a first response. His method is simpler. One sharp line, well-timed, and the message lands. Meanwhile, The View often treats disagreement as escalation rather than discussion. Say the wrong thing, and suddenly you're cast as the villain of the segment. Greg Gutfeld, by contrast, leans into the tension. He'll needle both sides when it suits the joke, because he understands where comedy and commentary intersect. That's part of why his audience continues to expand while daytime panels struggle to capture younger viewers, who generally prefer satire over lectures.
Austin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by The View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring.
And yes, the numbers conversation always lurks in the background. Ratings don't run on feelings, they run on audience behavior. Online reactions suggested Greg scored the moment decisively, with comment sections largely cheering the exchange. Meanwhile, the rest of the View lineup moved into familiar defensive posture. Sunny Hostin delivered her trademark eye roll. Ana Navarro added theatrical exasperation. Joy Behar muttered her way through visible frustration. They'll bounce back, they always do. But moments like this explain why the show keeps generating viral cycles. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. So, sarcastic thanks are apparently in order. Because without The View, we wouldn't get quite so many case studies in what happens when confidence, conviction, and live television collide at full speed.